Good morning. Hope everybody's having a wonderful start to your week. We are on our platforms live today, so you guys are getting value and get to see what we do. All month we're going over the sixth sense and what does that mean to us, and how can we apply it. And we get a better understanding of the sixth sense by understanding that all it is feedback. And this all that is all that ever could be, because the only thing you could ever receive or intelligently direct is your mind. The intuition is your feedback. Your intuition is the way you communicate from your inside to your outside world. This is what we call living between the worlds. And as you get a better understanding of how to live between the worlds, you get a better understanding of yourself and what it is that you need to change. Everything in life is about giving and receiving. And when we look at the word giving and receiving, we get a better understanding of the way intuition works. When you give towards something, you give your energy towards a vision, you give your energy towards objectives, you're going to receive in return what you give forth. So this reciprocal action-reaction is the way you communicate with infinite intelligence, the way you communicate with people, the way you communicate with your surroundings. It's also the way the universe is communicating with you and you're communicating with the universe. It's also the way you could say that you're talking to God and God's talking to you. So in respect, we're really following nature's law. Nature has a way of doing things. Every man, every woman that has ever existed was following nature's law, whether they're aware of it or not. What we want is to become more aware of how nature's law works so that we can cooperate. Cooperation is a wonderful word. Now let's look at the cooperation of the many years of experience of nature's law and humanity. Humanity is consistently thinking on advancement. We can go back 12,000 years and we can see nature's law taking its course through time. We see the advancement of man through time, and we're looking through their evolution of consciousness. They're wanting to see themselves outside of themselves. Therefore, they think. Thinking is called imagining. So therefore, they've imagined different states all this time. And as they take this creative process and they imagine, they're creating different realities. They're rearranging the things themselves. Now you may say, well, what are the things themselves when they started from nothing? What is the things themselves when they had nothing there? Let's go back 12,000 years. You had nature's way. Somewhere along the line, man changed. Man evolved. Somewhere along the line, there's been some form of interruption. You're not the only one that's saying it. Scientists say evolution couldn't happen at that rate. Some kind of intervention. This intervention led man to advanced decision make, which means imagine before time. To see things as they would like to see them. Isn't that amazing? To see things as they would like to see them. And then they began to receive the strategy. These women began to see things the way they would like to see them. And because nature's way, our internal dialogue, our internal way of being, is to induce ourselves to draw from within what we would like to see without. So here we begin to visualize. We begin to desire and visualize more. We begin to desire and want to see something else outside of ourselves. Here we begin to build things, build shelter, build homes, build clothing. Create, 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 create. The feedback in between your want and an infinite field of consciousness is your intuition. The feedback between your brain, your mind, which is something unseen, but it's the thing that's moving the ideas. The mind is a perpetual transmutation of thought energy. That mind, that consciousness is working to and through your brain, giving it consciousness. That mind is giving the brain consciousness, sending signals and ideas to this brain, to this hand, to these eyes, to demonstrate its consciousness. And it's also connected to an infinite field of consciousness, receiving ideas from where to work from, and what to do next, and what to advance, and what to create. This thing that we call mind, consciousness, is thinking, and it's wanting to go beyond what it can see. When we look at the advancement through time, this consciousness was looking at a bird fly. And they so wanted to see themselves fly. We take the Wright brothers. This consciousness was moving that brain and that body of the Wright brothers. And it wanted to see flight. So it would command those men to take that body and move it into action to forwardly progress flight. It's a thing that's unseen, but it's the highest part of that person's personality. And it's the driving force is driving that person into action. Scientists know that the minute that consciousness is gone, the brain and body has no life and power, and that body flatlines, it's dead, goes back to earth. The consciousness is what's giving that body life and power. It's also giving it ideas. It's also tuned in. It's tuned into its own body. It's tuned in what it can see. And it's also tuned into an infinite field of consciousness. This is where we get ideas from. If we were to take this consciousness out of man, you'd have a vegetable. If you were to take this consciousness completely out of man, you wouldn't have a man. You'd have a body. And the minute it would arrive, it would be gone. After the first ones, there wouldn't be any more. After the first one's consciousness, if there was no more consciousness after the first consciousness, you would have a body and there would be no life. In order for a human being to be alive, it must have this mind. It must have this consciousness that's given it life. They can measure it the minute it leaves. There's nothing there. What does this mean to you? What does it mean for the rest of your life? It means that if you really start to get a better understanding that you're the consciousness driving this body, you're also the consciousness that has deliberately chosen or not chosen to go beyond where you're at. You see, we're the only ones that can regulate ourselves. We're the only ones that can say, that's enough. We're the only ones that can stop the ideas from coming in. When you really start to think, what stopped me from going beyond what I am? When you look around, there's nothing around you. There's no chains. Now, I'm not saying that there's not something in a dialogue inside of you that's not controlling you, but physically, there's nothing that's controlling you. When did you stop dreaming? When did your consciousness begin to think that nothing other than what you are is possible? At what time did you stop imagining beyond what you can hear, see, taste, touch, or smell? At what point did you stop thinking, imagining that you could accomplish more than what you've done? What happened? It's very imperative you really take a look at your own thoughts. At what age did you stop desiring more? At what age did you stop yourself from growing, developing, and why? You see, the mind is something we really don't study. Even though it's the largest part of your world that could rewrite your whole world. When I understood that anything was possible, my life changed. When I really began to understand that anything was possible, my life changed. What do we normally find in people? Lack of motivation and lack of education. Now, I'm not talking about the regular education that you're thinking about. Regular education is not teaching people things. It's teaching them how to behave as they wouldn't behave. And the goal comes from the Latin word to induce, to draw from within, which goes back to where I started off, giving and receiving. So you're giving off an energy, and you're receiving back feedback from that energy. Education is teaching people to do as they wouldn't do. So let's take education all over all these years. Have they not been training you to act as you wouldn't act? They even gave you a self-image when it came to college and university. To give your life to that idea, to have a better lifestyle, to earn more money, to create, to be something, to do something. They're giving you self-images to go pick, to go into, so that you can educate yourself some more, to act as you wouldn't have acted before, and be of value to society. Pay close attention. What are they educating? Your consciousness. To act as it wouldn't have acted before. To learn something new. So here in between education and motivation, why wouldn't somebody want more than what they are? On the motivation part of it, why wouldn't you desire to have a better lifestyle, a larger home, better things, travel the world? Why wouldn't you want to be free? Free from limitations, free from money. When we look at education and motivation, why wouldn't you want to be more? Now here we're coming to the basis of the intuition and what is holding that intuition back from becoming more than what it is. Now you're understanding that intuition is feedback, and intuition is the way you communicate with your inner and outer world. But here comes the line of distinction of what's controlling you, what's controlling him, her, and every individual you see walking the earth. Everything is depicted off of motivation and education. Your ability to self-educate yourself originate yourself, self-educate yourself, go into a profession to educate yourself. Lack of motivation is distinguishing how far you go. Now, why would somebody not want more? Now, I've looked at this for so many years, and I've worked at looking at it at so many different angles. Why? Because I'm in the business of helping people. I've worked at changing myself from a child, and so have you. Lack of understanding creates lack of motivation. Lack of desire creates lack of motivation. Lack of understanding your personality, your true personality, creates lack of motivation. You've been wondering what makes you move. Maybe you haven't. I know a lot of people that really don't question. I know a lot of people that say that they don't desire more, but they truly do. Everybody does. What is motivation? What is motive? What is motivating me to become who I am? To experience what I see in my exterior world? What has caused me to become what I am? What I currently am? That comes from the intelligence that's moving this body. Earlier, I was talking about consciousness and how this consciousness is thinking. The rudimental factor of you is that you are an intelligence moving forces into forms. You are an intelligence moving forces into forms. You think, then you speak. You think, then you move. You think, you act. You think, and then you desire. You think. So thinking means giving and releasing an idea. And along those terms, you receive intuition, which is feedback from your ideas. What causes lack of a motivation in an individual to stay where they're at? Well, because we never really look at the mind and we don't study the mind. And a lot of people don't want to know much about the mind. They're rejecting understanding what is moving them into action and giving them even the ideas that they experience. Lack of understanding is why you're stuck. But if you were just a desire to want to understand what is moving you into action, you could change your world. Because lack of motivation is coming from inside. I just don't want to. Why don't you go to the gym? I just don't want to. Why don't you start eating healthier? I don't know, I just don't want to. Lack of motivation is the making and breaking of a lot of people. And they're not aware that the lack of motivation is coming from beliefs stored in their own imagination in this filing cabinet. When did you stop desiring to be more? I could tell you when. I could tell you exactly when you stop desiring to become more. This is probably going to blow your mind. For a little bit, you're probably not going to know what to think about it. I can tell you exactly when you stop desiring more. You stop desiring more, and you could check this. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what part of the planet you're in. It doesn't matter how good of the results you're getting right now. And it doesn't matter if you're getting the worst results in the world. This is the same way with everyone. Pay close attention and then check what I'm saying. You can be wealthy, and I'm going to get this right. You can be poor, and you're going to get this right. And you can be medium standard, and I'm going to get this right. Lack of motivation comes when we go further than what you know. When you've gone to the extent of what you think is possible for you. When you go to the extent of what is possible in your hard drive. When we go to the extent of what you were programmed to do. Now, there's a few people that do go beyond what they're programmed to do. And their desire does propel them to go do things they don't want to do. But it is rare that you will find somebody continually doing the things they don't want to do. It is rare that you will find somebody continually going beyond what they know. The majority of the people, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but 97, 98% stop willing to go beyond what they know. And at some point, everybody's conforming. What are they conforming to? They stop stretching, they stop reprogramming, they stop doing more than what they know. What is that thing that's controlling your behavior? And they say, just forget it. Just forget it. I had a dream. I had a vision. I tried the business. I tried the thing. It failed. It didn't work. Just forget it. There's something inside them telling them, forget it. Let it go. Conform. At some point, everybody gets to the point where they are arguing with themselves, is this possible for me or not? Can I do the thing or not? Am I worthy of doing the thing or not? Now, this is controlling everybody's behavior all over the world, and they don't want to know what it is. They have so much trouble seeing beyond what's down here in 3D world. They have trouble seeing beyond what's down here in 3D world. Although the intuition could take you anywhere. Intuition could take you beyond what the man's eye can see. To what a universal eye can see. A universal eye can see. Now, here when we look at, we'll give this out of the way. When we look at people thinking, what's normally thinking is not them. What's normally thinking are the beliefs, self-centered in themselves. And when we look at these 3% that are motivated beyond what they can see, there's not very many of them. You don't believe me? Go look at the stats. There's people that are thinking completely out of this sequence of events, but there's very few of them. 3% are thinking beyond what they can see, and they're motivated with the things that are beyond what they can see. When we look at Tesla, when we look at Edison, when we look at the Wright brothers, when we look at Marconi, when we look at all these individuals that were going beyond man's eye, when they were going beyond conditions and circumstances in the outer world, this is where they lived. What is it that caused them to continually go beyond what was happening in the physical world? What was causing them to continually go beyond what they could see? They had more motivation than people. And they kept educating themselves, which means education means to self-induce, to draw from within. So they had more motivation that caused them to change the way their body is. Earlier, I talked about consciousness. And I was talking about that there was this motivation that's outside of you, that lives inside of you, that works to and through you. There's this internal motivation we call spirit. Without this internal motivation that works to and through this body, you wouldn't be who you are. Without this internal motivation, you wouldn't want. You see, spirit is the thing that is causing you to desire to be more of you than what you are. And to continue to get you to go beyond what you see, hear, taste, touch, smell. Your spiritual connection, cognition, intuition, consciousness, study it, look it up. Psyche is causing you to become more aware that you are more than just a body and that you are interconnected with an infinite field of consciousness. And this is why consciousness can connect to itself from one state to the next, from one city to the next, one country to the next country, from one world to another world. Why? Because consciousness is ever present. Where were these men that are so motivated to self-induce their body, to self-induce their brain, to act differently? To act differently than the masses. They know that they are one with the infinite. They know that anything is possible. Where do they get their ideas from? They keep going upstairs. They keep tapping into an infinite field of consciousness because they know that they can contact ideas up here that are ever present. Where did the light bulb come from? Where did this marker come from? Where did this suit come from? Everything around you is motivated by a spiritual consciousness tapping into an infinite field of consciousness and bringing those ideas back down into form. The camera that you're looking through right now, the camera that I'm looking through right now. Yeah, you just looked at it. Now you're questioning. Everything you see around you was first created in the imagination of a higher conscious individual. Somebody that's more consciously aware, somebody that is not looking at conditions and circumstances. They're creating conditions and circumstances. They're so motivated by this inner movement, this inner desire, that they are tapping into an infinite field of consciousness, and everything you see that is not nature's way starts and ends in this way. It is the motivation of an internal movement, causing them to see beyond conditions and circumstances and then go and create them. The phone, the television, football entertains all these people. You think that's an accident? Entertainment, to entertain all these people, to enter into their mind, entertain them, because they're not used to thinking on their own. I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just making you aware. Why is it that entertainment is so good and it feels so good? If you're not used to motivating yourself to create your own images, to create your own desire, to create your own video in your own mind and bring it down to the physical world, it's very enticing. Because this draws you in and it helps you move your mind. And you release chemicals, euphoria, you used to dopamine, you start releasing chemicals. Why? Because you can't do it on your own, or you haven't been trained to do it on your own. And this does it for you and you feel good. Entertainment. What are they doing? This machine is stimulating your mind. You get into a movie. It's stimulating your mind. You're in the movie. You're acting. You're moving with them. Because the ideas and the visions are tapping into your brain and causing your brain to fire and wire together. And it feels freaking good. The only problem is you're living somebody else's story. Only problem is you're living someone else's story. You got to get out of the video. The movie's done. You go back to reality. What are you going back to? You got to go back to yourself. And when you go into your movie, you go into your hard drive, you go back and check the box. Go back here and you check yourself. And you're not happy. Why are you not happy? Because you're falling short. We all fall short. But we can get back up. We fall short when we don't understand the way consciousness works. We fall short when we give up on ourselves. We fall short when we let our spirit down. It's the thing driving you. Run faster, jump higher, go beyond, pick up a book, study. It's consistently telling you, it's consistently working to get you to wake up. Wake up and look up. Consistently wanting you to wake up. It's consistently telling you, you know you're more. You know we're meant for more. Or causing you to think, why am I here? It is that energy that's causing you to want to perform better. Lack of motivation comes from the belief systems themselves that control the way you imagine, control how much you imagine, control your body and how far it's going to go. Stop you from doing the thing that you really want to do. Stop you from even taking a chance on changing yourself. Wow. Taking a chance on even changing yourself. Imagine that. I see this all the time. Why do we see it all the time? Because we work with people all the time. Who are we? We're an institute of the mind. We're an institute teaching people how to set goals, worthy goals, achievable goals, how to bet on themselves, how to understand who and what they really are, and then help them develop themselves from within. That's the only way you could. Desire and lack of desire is the making and breaking of people. Not knowing the principles of consciousness, the principles of the psyche. Lack of education stops people. And I'm not talking about regular education. We don't teach regular education. We go beyond that. And that's why the people that we work with have gone beyond education. That's why the people that we work with have changed their lives and gone beyond what education can do for a person. It's a different kind of education. In these programs that we teach, You're learning more about yourself and how to change yourself. Education didn't directly tell you if you were not programmed to be successful, the chances are you won't be. But that's the truth. Education doesn't directly tell you this information, even though it's in their system. Lack of education, lack of knowing, causes people to be stuck. We all deserve the right to live the life that we truly desire. But if we don't have the right information, we don't know where else to go. We teach classes Monday through Friday. We don't do this just to do it. We do this because it's through auto-suggestion that you change your programming. It's through repetition that you change your life. You may say, I don't want to do that. But don't. Continue to live the way you are. See how much harder that's going to be for the next 20, 30, 40, 60, 80 years. You went to school for 250 plus days a year. Why? To reprogram you. You were never supposed to stop. People that were educated took on a job, took on a career. You were never supposed to stop. When you stop growing in your career, it's because you stopped educating yourself. And once again, you're going to have to re-educate yourself. And the majority of people are really not thinking about where they're going. The majority of people go receive an education for a career, and they really don't look into the future. They don't advance decision make. They don't look what the future is really going to bring them. And when they get there, they're really not happy. We work with a lot of people in that manner. We work with a lot of people with masters and doctorates. And they're not happy, which is completely normal. What they did was they reprogrammed themselves. They went beyond that program. They brought in a new program, educated themselves for a little bit, and then they stopped. And they wonder why they stopped growing. When we go as far as what we know, the average individual conforms. And it's very rare you will find somebody doing more than what they know. Those people are not normal. But if we were to follow them, we change our lives. That is continually breaking the paradigms, the habits, the programming. The question for you here is, can I entertain a new idea? An educated personality looks for the continued a continued evolution, an emotional, creative state of mind. They decide what they're going to think. They decide what new ideas they're going to bring into the world. They decide how they're going to re-educate themselves. An educated person is in the continual advancement of their own consciousness. Can you entertain a new idea? That determines your motivation. Weakness of attention and poverty of the imagination come next. Can I entertain a new idea? Can I re-educate my own brain? Can I re-educate my own consciousness? Because that's the thing that's bringing the results. Never get it wrong. Can I re-educate my own consciousness? Because that's the thing that's bringing the results. You can never blame him. You can never blame her. At the end of it, you got to go back to your own consciousness, because you're the one that's determining reality, whether you're aware of it or not. The decisions you make, the decisions you don't make. It's you. One day you're going to have to look at the man or the woman in the mirror. You can no longer blame anyone else. But the best day is when you can do it right now. Now you can take on responsibility. The keys to success is goals. Goal setting, goal achieving. And that's why we teach that. Because a man without a goal is going nowhere. And a goal without a date is not a goal at all. And somewhere in between that cycle, you're going to find that it's going to be pretty hard to change, because that's totally normal. There's a process, and we teach it. The method that we teach is very successful, and it's worked all over the world. You got an opportunity, bet on you, because nobody else will. A paradigm, it's a habitual behavior. You're stuck in a paradigm right now. Multitude of habits. And almost all habits are habitual. You're stuck, not by accident. You're stuck. And there's a purpose for being stuck. Majority of the people never wake up. They just keep learning the lesson every day. They don't learn it, they just repeat the lesson every day. And they stay stuck every day. Our programs are designed to take people from A to Z and beyond. We teach people habitually how to change the way they think. How many days have you had the habit of thinking the way you are? How many years have you been thinking the way you think? People don't have problems, they have programming. They have programs. These programs are habitual. Take a look at what we're doing. Send us a message. You ready to get started? You ready to bet on you? One of our associates will get in contact with you. You can get started. Bet on you, because nobody's going to do it. Nobody can change you, but you can change yourself. I wish everybody a wonderful and blessed day, and we'll be talking. See you guys next week.